It's the Jack and Nick Horror Show.
Oh, I thought we were...
I'm recording.
Oh.
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 But I am, Nick.
Just trying to start the show, ho.
See, you're calling me a hoe.
It kind of well, I mean, it's like not, like a gardening tool.
Are you calling me like a hobo?
No, you own more of a house than I do. So, good evening, everyone.
I'll be a hobo soon. For all these bills.
Give it time.
Give it time. You'll. Hi, this is the Jack and Neck.
The Jack and Neck Show.
Jack and Neck Show.
He's Jack. I'm Nack.
Yeah.
And
our names rhyme, and we don't pronounce we don't pronounce our. We say R, like we're fucking pirates. Welcome to the Jack and Nick Horror Show. I'm sure you've been here before, you three people.
Oh yeah.
Welcome
all
back.
Three.
Nick, what are we talking about tonight?
Tonight we're going to have kind of a short episode. We just both really wanted to talk about the last drive-in special on Shudder, and I'll give you a little bit of information about why it's probably time to sign up for Shudder. No, we're not being paid by Shudder, and we'll tell you what Shudder is in a second. We just want to talk about why we think it's cool, because we can't not think it's cool, man.
That's correct. And we're going to do a little bit more of catch-up, and catch-up is... a condiment, but it's also a segment where Nick and I discuss different movies that we saw, and nothing too major, nothing too little. Mm-hmm. So let's get to the show.
Right. No movie of the week,
Joe.
just a show.
We're going to talk about a show.
Okay.
But we're still going to talk about movies within the... All right, we'll get to it. Stop talking, Jack.
Hey everybody, have you heard the news? Joe Bob is back in town. He's over at the drive-in, hanging around, watching crazy movies. So come on down to Joe Bob's last drive-in show. Blood, beasts, movies, and more. Joe Bob's last drive-in show. It's a spooky marathon with monsters and ghosts. Crazy kooky fun with the world's greatest host. Joe Bob's last drive-in show. It's gonna be legendary. Joe Bob's last drive-in show. It's gonna be devastating. Joe Bob's last drive-in show. Let's go.
Last Drive-In, Joe Bob Briggs. Last Drive-In on Shudder was an event, was it not, Nick?
It was. So for those of you who don't know what Shudder is, we'll start there.
We'll start with Shudder first, yes.
Exactly. It's Netflix, but for horror movies.
Right.
It's an app that you can watch on all sorts of devices. I watched on my Xbox, and yes, it costs money to subscribe to it. You have to pay like $3 or $4 a month. I think it's $4 or $5 a month, actually. I don't know what the difference is in the subscription plans. I only just got it recently. And it is pretty great. When Shudder first came out, I checked it out and I wasn't impressed. I was just like, it reminded me of the Horror Net. I think it was what it was called before. That was already a horror streaming app. I don't think that one's around anymore. And that one was actually free if you had like Xbox. I don't know why. But this one, the selection of movies has gotten really good. They're starting to come out with original movies and shows. Sometimes they'll have different notable horror people or collectors come up with their own curated list of movies from their selection that's like, hey, watch these 6 movies and here's why. And one of the things that they did that is like that, but also completely different from that, is they had a special with Joe Bob Briggs. Jack, why don't you explain who Joe Bob Briggs is for the people who don't know who that is?
He's a man with 3 names. No.
Yes.
Yeah.
First thing.
Joe Bob was the very first drive-in critic. And you don't know what that is, well, you might be too young. What drive-ins are, where these things where they showed movies outside, and you drove into the park and watched the movies on the big screen outside, but in your car. So anyway, Joe Bob would review movies that didn't get movie reviews, or movies that regular critics would just pan or not give a shit about. But he actually loved the movies. He loved genre movies, exploitation, all the above. And then later on, there was, I think it was it TCM or the movie channel?
Yeah, the movie channel back in the 80s.
Correct, where he did the same type of thing, except not there, but like in like a dirty living room, or with projector shit all over the place. Anyway,
right.
He would intro horror movies like Evil Dead and Texas Chainsaw, things like that, and
right, just being a horror host.
Right, just like, hey, here's this movie. Not really cutting in between it. Just here's this movie. I'm Joe Bob Briggs, so you'd watch it. Then later on, along came Monster Vision. And Monster Vision on TNT was a big deal for a lot of people, much like people that listen to this show and other horror podcasts, who just, and I mean, the same goes for the shows prior to, but you just feel like an outcast and you need something to give you life. And that was what Monster Vision was. It would work on it would air on Saturday nights, and you'd have Monster Vision and then Last Call with Joe Bob Briggs. Right. Monster Vision was the first movie, Last Call was the second movie if there was a double bill. And what he would do is host the movie, give you his quote-unquote drive-in totals, and then go into the movie. But in between the movie would come back.
One thing we need to explain, too, is like for people my age who are horror fans, which is, in their 30s, Joe Bob introduced us to so many movies.
Correct. Yeah.
Like tons of stuff that I saw for the first time. I saw on, I saw just, presented by him. He would tell funny stories about the making of it, and I loved it. And I ate it up, and I'd watch it like every time I could when I was allowed to stay up late in the 90s, and I totally loved it. And they're, those old shows, they're kind of floating around. Some are on YouTube. So most people encounter them on torrents, and it's just great stuff. It's just really, it's very much of the time, but it's also got a bunch of like insane horror movies that you couldn't see otherwise. It's like, I think I saw Maniac Cop on there. Name a few you saw.
Maximum Overdrive was on.
I was just gonna say Maximum Overdrive was
Return of the Living Dead was a great episode. There's so many.
Right. Again, I don't know the full list of movies that he did, but it was a big deal. So then they come up with this on Shudder, where they're going to do like a movie marathon for 13 movies, where he's going to introduce each movie. And, every horror fan who saw this stuff got excited for it. I actually signed up for it, Shudder, the day before, and then they started showing the movies, and Shudder crashed, and the whole internet broke, and like this was they obviously got a more overwhelming response to it than they could have possibly, I guess, expected. I mean, it kind of sucks a little that some people were not able to see it, but
it's
whatever. I think it's great. I think it's great that there was such a great response to it, and I still am yet to watch a full movie from it. I've watched bits of like the whole thing, because they have a live channel on Shudder that you can continuously sign into and watch, just like what's playing live, or you could just choose movies off the selection and watch whatever. It kind of works like the WWE Network, if you have WWE Network, where there's a live channel that's always going, or you could watch any wrestling match ever or whatever, and it's kind of like that. So the first, like just from the very beginning, Joe Bob hasn't like changed at all. He's got like a really, like, I don't even know how to describe his sense of humor.
Allow me.
Okay, go ahead. Go for it.
Before I do, I do want to say the response to the show has been great. One of the coolest things that I've seen is there are people that were just introduced to Joe Bob Briggs who have never seen him before, and now they're trying to gobble up as much Monster Vision and all this shit as possible, which is really cool to see.
Right.
Because a lot of times whenever you have an old head talking about movies, they're like, oh, that's an old head. You know, so it's really cool to see that he's just generated even more fans than he could have ever anticipated. But his sense of humor is kind of like, I would say he's very half misogynistic, but not.
Yeah.
He loves talking about women, but he's not perverted about it, in a sense. It's just very hard to wrap your head around the guy, because he's just straightforward, loves talking. He's a very intelligent guy too, but he loves to give you something goofy and fun and informative about the junk that you're watching. But the way he does it better than our asses or anybody else that has a horror podcast, period.
Right. I think that like so many people who start horror podcasts or start, YouTube shows or whatever, they're trying to be Joe Bob Briggs, except, presenting themselves doing it. And I don't believe that there is a better horror host at all than Joe Bob Briggs.
No, there really isn't. And I mean, just a horror host in general, like you had like Elvira, who was fun. I really enjoyed the shit out of Elvira, but she's not Joe Bob Briggs, not because she's a woman, but just because she would talk about the movie but make fun of it, whereas Joe Bob Briggs would actually still embrace the shittiness of it, kind of like we all do. You had other guys like, who was it, Goulardi. Before him, it was Zachary, which we'll get to in a little bit, but you had Commander USA, who I absolutely loved. Same thing, but he wouldn't talk about the movie necessarily. It would be like a theme, and he would do ad-lib jokes throughout. But it's still fun for me, but Joe Bob is the one that would give you all the factoids that you would ever want, and they're the kind of nuggets that you store in your head. He's even said this before about people just listen to what he has to say so they can put that knowledge in their head and just spew it out to other people.
Right.
So
I can remember just specifically for years I couldn't remember where I had heard this story about I think it was maybe I'm getting it wrong. Go back and watch Monster Vision on a torrent somewhere. But I remember this story about from the Maximum Overdrive episode where they cut a part of the beginning of the movie. Who directed that movie? I forget who.
Which movie?
Maximum Overdrive.
Stephen King.
He directed it?
Yeah.
Oh,
he was
okay.
Coked up and directed that movie.
Okay. I don't remember. Anyway, see, I'm not Joe
okay.
Bob. I'm shitty compared to him. You're stuck with me, people.
It's all right.
But
I'll make up for you.
He told a story about how he footage of the movie was sent to George Romero to see if he liked it, and there was a part where a kid got run over by a steamroller and his head exploded, and George Romero said that he almost threw up watching it. And I mean, who knows if that story's true, but I remember it being from the Monster Vision episode.
Yeah.
Also, I'm sorry if anybody is listening to us not wanting to hear about this tonight, but
tough shit.
Sorry, we're not talking about a movie this time. We'll be back with a movie next episode.
We'll talk about some of the movies because
we're actually going to talk about a lot of movies in a second, but it's mostly about how much we love Joe Bob.
It really is. I mean, the Maximum Overdrive episode, which is weird. I think it was that one. That was the same night or same day when that aired. That's the same day that Stephen King went out to get his mail and got hit by the car.
Really?
Yeah, because he mentions it on another show, and he says that we're wishing him a speedy recovery. It was really really sweet thing, but it was just a weird coincidence. I mean, everything about Stephen King getting hit by the car is really strange that you know, the whole Gage Pet Cemetery thing and all that. But anyway, that's besides the point. The cool thing with the show, like, you know, when you're little, Nick, how old were you when Monster Vision came out?
Oh, probably between 12 and 18.
Okay.
Like, it was on for a couple of years, right? I mean,
I would
probably
say more than a
discovered
couple.
Yeah, no, I'd say I discovered it probably, like, let's say 11 to 17 is probably the years I was paying attention to it.
I think it was like 93 to 2000 is when it was on.
Uh-huh.
In 93, I was already out of high school.
Uh-huh.
I'm old.
Because you're way older than me. Yeah. Not way, but older
Well, Nick
enough.
sounds older than me. Anyway, so...
Ray, I don't know.
Maybe not.
Can't explain it.
Yeah, it just happens. But, okay. What the hell was I talking about? Was I talking about... Like
Joe Bob.
Virgin? No,
Remember? Joe Bob. That's what we're here for.
Okay. So, so when you're younger, a lot of times the horror host will attract you because when you're little, a lot of younger little kids are scared of horror movies. So you go to a horror host because he or she makes you feel better and have fun while watching a horror movie.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people have said that Joe Bob did that. Even Commander USA did it for me for Friday the 13th, 2 and 3. Like, seeing Jason walk down and the mangled face and everything at the end of 3 and that dream sequence scared the living shit out of me. But I had Commander USA to fall back on. Later on, as I grew up a couple years later, I'm like, oh my god, I was a pansy. Still am, but the cool thing was that, you know, I had that guy right there to help me, guide me through it. And that's what Joe Bob did. But he was also informative and made you dig deeper into the shit that you were watching. And sometimes it's utter shit. But he didn't always do horror movies on Monster Vision, mind you. He did do, like, you know, Back to the Future, Pee-wee's Big Adventure, Willy Wonka, whatever movie.
That
TNT,
always annoyed me when I was a kid. I was
same
like,
here.
oh, why? But actually, the only one I was okay with was Willy Wonka because I love Willy Wonka movie. But
It kind of is a horror movie. It's kind of a slasher movie, too, if you think about it.
yeah, it kind of works. So I'm okay with that one. I'm okay with it.
But, like, it's just, it's really cool to see. I mean, you know, Nick, you know me. A lot of people don't know me, but I mean, my affection for Joe Bob Briggs is ridiculous. Like, I got all his books. By the way, his books, you should look at the prices on Amazon. Oh my god,
yeah?
Dude, I got them for like 50 cents, $2, $3, and they're like, one of them is like a couple hundred, another one's $1,000 right now.
Too much.
Like, yeah. He did a lot of audio commentaries for Shriek Show, one of which was Samurai Cop, Hell High.
Which his commentary for is excellent.
Is excellent. Even I Spit on Your Grave. He does commentary for I Spit on Your Grave and gives you all the information you could ever want of I Spit on Your Grave. It makes the movie rewatchable when he goes into it. So, what happened with Last Drive-In was both exciting because it was the first like real communal experience for a massive amount of horror fans in probably, I'd say, what, you think 15 years?
Yes, for it all to happen at once like that. Absolutely.
Maybe longer. Maybe even longer. Yeah.
I don't know, because I mean, it's even more than that, where it's like now you could experience it with Twitter. The same way that, like, I know as a wrestling fan, once again bringing up wrestling here, but with wrestling, you get this like every week with like watching Monday Night Raw, and everybody goes on Twitter and complains about it, right? And now horror fans got to have that same type of thing where they got just a thing that everybody could watch and enjoy and explain and experience all at once, and it's so cool.
And this is one of the first times I've seen, like, I'd say 99% of people actually being happy about something.
Oh my god, yeah. If you went through Twitter, the response was overwhelmingly positive, which is awesome. I've never seen anything that got as positive a response as that shit did.
Yeah.
At all.
And that's great to see because people just are, especially horror fans. I mean, we came from a show that was negative. Let's put it this way. But like,
Right.
there's a lot of negativity in the horror community, and there shouldn't be, because you go to a horror convention, which is a communal thing, and everybody's just so positive and happy, and oh my god, I met this person and that person. You meet friends, you have dinner, everybody has a great time. When that weekend's over, you want to hang yourself because you feel like it's never going to happen again. Then
Right,
you go to
'cause,
a
I
bunch
mean,
of
like,
them, and then you get depressed because they
Dude,
get bored.
even the show, I mean, like, people say that they listen because we're like the horror friends that you otherwise don't have.
Correct.
I totally get that. And, I mean, in a way, you're the friends that we don't have, because it's
Right.
just like me and Jack, and we each know a couple of other people who we talk to about horror. But it's not like what you want in life. It's like you want to be able to go and talk to more people like this. If you have like a bunch of people that you can go to talk to horror about, you are probably not in need of the Jack and Nick Horror Show or any podcast, because you're just like, hey, life is excellent for me.
Yeah.
Like, it's not the same. I don't know. I don't even know how to describe it other than that. But like, seriously, I go to hell, you bastard. I want more horror friends. That's why I do this. I have nobody to talk to about horror all week. As I'm even thinking about the last drive-in. And that's why, things like this take a hold of people because of man, so good.
So
Sorry.
before we
continue.
no, it's okay. We'll go through the list of movies in a moment. But yeah, it just the positiveness, and I don't think that either Joe Bob or Shudder I mean, I knew they'd get a good response, and they knew they'd get a good response too, but I'm sure they didn't foresee it to be as big as it was, where it shut down Shudder. By the way, Joe Bob's website, at the end of it, they were doing they were trying to do a giveaway of a shirt. Like the first 10 people to answer trivia questions about Joe Bob Briggs would get a shirt, and that's it. It's just a shirt that Freight Rags put out. Wouldn't you know? They even said, and by the way, on Facebook, like, the people that worked, his assistants, the people that work the Facebook page, are keeping everybody updated, and saying, so sorry about all this. So they waited till the end of the marathon to do the giveaway, which ended exactly at 11:30, which is really fucking crazy how they did it exactly to that second. Right at 11:30 is when the quiz was going to go up, and wouldn't you know, their website crashed as well. Mm-hmm. Because of the overwhelming response. And that's just to get a goddamn t-shirt. Like, it's not even like, Freight Rag is a little expensive, I'm going to admit. It's $28 just for a t-shirt, which is pretty high. But regardless, that's just my own taste. I don't spend that much money on t-shirts anymore. I just remember them being $15-20. That's my rate.
I saw a $20 t-shirt I almost bought for you the other day. I was like, I'm just going to ask Jack his size and buy this for him. But then I forgot to tell you about it, and then I lost where the shirt was. And
piece of shit. No,
I know.
Just kidding. No, dude,
I don't even know if I should tell you what it was. Do you want to know what it was?
No, it's okay. Just surprise me.
Okay, because it's totally relevant to what we're talking about now.
Ah, you piece of shit.
All right.
Anyway,
it was no. It was this tank top, and the thing on it was
I don't
just
wear tank tops, so that's fine.
I know you don't, because you're skinny and you'd look weird, but like you ain't got big muscles. But the list goes on.
No, I got big other things like feet.
The symbol on it, right? The symbol on it was just this like cartoony looking version of the Green Goblin from Maximum Overdrive.
You want to know something funny?
Did you buy that shirt?
No. Somebody pointed me into the direction of the Maximum Overdrive truck on eBay. And I said, I hope you get gonorrhea, because now I'm like fixated on looking at this thing, but it's $125, which I don't have to spend on a fucking truck with the Green Goblin on it.
Mm-hmm.
We're getting sidetracked, but okay.
I just know you really like it, so there you go.
Well, Any more thoughts on Joe Bob? We'll get into in a little bit, but let's go through the movies real fast.
Right. These are the movies that were part of the marathon that is now up on Shudder that you can go through and watch. And I plan to watch the whole thing, almost like it's a TV season.
Correct.
Of movies, of old classic horror movies, with also Joe Bob giving you information about it. And then we're also, after this, we're going to kind of talk a little bit more about Joe Bob, but then we're also going to talk a little bit more about the stuff we found on Shudder, just because we're horror nerds. So it's a lot of Shudder this episode. And again, we were not paid to say this. We should have been.
We should.
They should have paid us.
No, just kidding.
But
no,
they just don't, man.
No, we respect things that actually give a shit, and that's why we're doing the show tonight.
Yes, I'm actually also kidding.
And the coolest thing about Shudder too is that this event was only supposed to air live, and then that was it. You only get it, and you see the live show, and then it's over.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, since the server crashed, I mean, they worked all night long, waited till the all day long, I should say, waited till the whole thing was over, and then they released every movie on demand right at the end of it. That was absolutely very stand-up of Shudder. So most people would be like, oh yeah, well, you'll have to wait and we'll have to see and all that. No, they put everything up right away for everybody to watch. So first movie was Tourist Trap, which was David Schwimmer's movie. Now, Nick, I'm going to mention this this other show that we did. It's called a Mastercast, right?
Yeah.
And on Mastercast, I brought up Tourist Trap to a fellow podcaster who therein watched Tourist Trap and said that it sucked. That person is not cool.
I think they're dead now.
They might be. I don't know. But did you watch Tourist Trap? You said you watched the first one and the last one.
Yeah, I watched. I didn't watch all of Tourist Trap. I watched about half of Tourist Trap, and with Joe Bob's commentary. Now he doesn't comment the whole movie long. They keep going back to him for like interstitials, as if there were commercial breaks.
Right.
Except there's no commercials. It's just here's Joe Bob to set up the second act, and it was pretty great. And you know, even in watching it. In watching Tourist Trap, you know when you watch a movie and you suddenly realize, oh my God, I still have an hour and a half of this goddamn movie to watch? Like I tried watching Justice League the other day on HBO.
Woof.
Don't try watching that movie. It's so bad. I made it about 40 minutes in, right? And I paused it to check how much time was left, and there was another 45 minutes, and I was like, I can't spend my time on this shit, you know.
And that's what's great about this. Yeah, this is an hour and 31 minutes with his commentary, and you can't stop watching.
Oh, yeah. I
want to see what he says next.
Right, I had to stop it because I had to go somewhere and do something, and I was just like, oh, my God. I'm already halfway through this movie. I can't wait to watch the rest of it. And I had never seen Tourist Trap before. And it was pretty great and pretty weird. Late 70s, just campy, goofy weirdness, and like I enjoyed it, and I was like giddy watching this. I was just like, this is gonna be so good.
I absolutely love Tourist Trap. We're not going into it. Okay, you know what else I absolutely love? The next movie, Sleepaway Camp. We've discussed this on the show.
Yeah, we have an episode. Go listen to it from last year, which means it was 3 episodes ago.
Man, I just watching this again, like, okay, I'm not bragging, you know that, but like, I know a lot about Sleepaway Camp. I don't know everything. I don't know everything about Sleepaway Camp. I mean, the guy that runs the Sleepaway Camp website, you know, the director and the people in it, you know, all that kind, they know more than I do, obviously, and there are fans out there that know more than I do, but I know a lot about Sleepaway Camp, and the shit that Joe Bob was saying about Sleepaway Camp, whilst having Felissa Rose there with him, is great, and that's what happens. Nick, I know you didn't get to see that, but she's there with him in between all the commercial breaks, and she gave out some more additional info that you can't really get. That's the other thing about his show too, is that when Monster Vision was around, there was no IMDb, There was no internet really. It was just like a terrible like geosites hellhole of nothing, and him and a team of writers would have to find out all this information themselves. So, all right, Sleepaway Camp, we know about that. All right, so the next movie we actually did on Smashy Cast, which is Rabid, David Cronenberg's Rabid. Do you remember that movie?
Of course I do.
Of course. And did you like it? I can't remember if you liked it.
No, I didn't.
You
But
didn't?
I mean, I'd rewatch it now that I have to because it's on Joe Bob's show.
And it's actually,
I didn't dislike it. I just wasn't that into it.
right. And it's actually way more enjoyable when you find out the history of it and what the actual meaning of the movie is. I'm not really I don't want to spoil it necessarily, but he said that people were thinking it's like David Cronenberg's take on a zombie movie, but it's not. It's not. And he said people from Canada that saw it found it absolutely terrifying because there was a lot more. It's kind of like a Serbian film in a sense, where you see a Serbian film and you're like, okay, this is just a gross movie, but there's an underlying thing apparently about what a Serbian film really means. So it's the same kind of parallel there.
Right.
So
I wonder if that's why the Silska sisters like Rabid so much, because it was...
well, they're
Anyway.
they're
Canadian. Go...
Canadian.
Canadian. Go ahead, kids.
All right. Next was The Prowler. Okay. So people find The Prowler boring. Nick, you have not seen The Prowler?
No, I've not seen The Prowler.
Okay. So The Prowler is like one of Tom Savini's best special effects movies of all time. Like, I would say probably as good as The Burning, maybe more so, because some of the kills in this look real. And that's what it's known for. It's known for Tom Savini's effects. Story, not so great. It does have really cool, tense moments, but it just has like characters that are just you don't give a shit about. That's the problem. But it's still, for me, it's an enjoyable movie. But that one, there's a few I haven't watched yet because it just, I work and stuff. So
you have to make money.
I didn't see his commentary on it, but
Right. The only reason I haven't seen all these is because I was just on vacation. I got back today, and we're like, we really should talk about this.
Yeah.
That's the explanation.
That's why we're here. The next movie, I hope you had seen this one. I'll find out. Sorority Babes in the Slime Ball Bowl-orama.
No, I have not seen it, and it sounds wonderful.
It's terrible. It's absolutely
terrible in a way that I'll enjoy.
Probably, yeah. It's
You enjoy shit.
Yeah. Well, it's one of those movies that when you're a young teenager and you have cable late at night, you're going to know, well, when you're my age, you're going to know what Sorority Babes in the Slime Ball Bowl-orama is. Basically, it's about these nerdy guys that go, they're spying on, they're trying to get laid, and they go and watch these girls at the, what the hell is it? Their sorority, sorry. They're watching an initiation happen, and then shit happens where they all go to this Bowl-orama, and there's a little demon puppet deal and all that. Forget about fucking plot. It's directed by Dave Dakota. And Dave Dakota made a lot of shit. He made awesome shit and really shit. But he's one of those. It's kind of like Jim Wynorski, but I like Dave Dakota more because Wynorski. I'm not going to go into it, but anyway, his movies are it kind of has the same feeling as Chopping Mall, except it's more sleazy. And there's a lot more nudity, and that's what attracted me to it when I was younger, because it had Michelle Bauer naked, it had Brink Stevens naked, it has Linnea Quigley, it's just a fun, stupid, terrible
Right.
Horrible fucking movie. Some parts of it are kind of slow and boring too. That's another one. It's like, it's okay. But it's fun. It's a fun, stupid movie. Anyway. Next movie. Daughters of Darkness. No?
No, I've never seen it. What is it?
You would love it. It's actually, it's kind of like a genre Lynn vampire movie that's like very artsy.
I am here for this.
And it's a lesbian vampire movie. And,
yes.
And I can't wait.
That was actually my first guess when you said Daughters of Darkness.
Yeah, well, it's another
Have I
one.
seen Daughters of Darkness?
I don't know. Well,
No, hold on.
It's one that I mentioned on the flashy casts before, which I had I brought it up on one of the earlier shows, maybe the first or second episode, and I was discussing it because it was one of my Netflix picks. And what the hell happened? One thing I did mention is the Rob Zombie. What is it? The one quote from it Rob Zombie used is, "What are you thinking about? Same thing you are." Mm-hmm. That's between the two girls, where the two lesbian vampires. The one is thinking about offing this couple that's staying at the place where they are trying to lure them and drink their blood, but I think the girl is trying to turn her into a vampire. Really cool, atmospheric movie. A lot of people, again, find it very boring. It can be, but you got to be in the mood for it.
And I love that type of shit, though.
Yeah, that's
like Jim Jarmusch. Barely even a horror movie. Here's some vampires. Maybe there's going to be something happening to them. Movie. Yeah.
And Nick, that's why you definitely need to check out some of Genre Lynn's movies. I think a lot of them are on Shudder right now. But like the Naked Vampire, or was it Nude Vampire? Living Dead Girl is actually a really fucking cool movie. If the first one you're going to watch, it would be either that or the other one. The one, the fucking Scythe. I can't fucking, my brain is shut.
I don't know. Talk about the next movie on the thing.
It's good. The next one, Blood Feasts. Herschel Gordon Lewis's Blood Feast. That you have seen, correct?
No,
Jesus.
I know
Christ.
it's 13 random movies, and I haven't seen like all of them.
Oh my god, Blood Feast is all right. If you saw Blood Diner, this is Blood Diner was supposed to be a sequel to Blood Feast, but it's not really, even though it is. But Blood Feast is it's a Herschel Gordon Lewis. It's like one of the very first slasher movie or proto slasher films. Where a guy is he's preparing a cannibal feast to have for this Ishtar. It's stupid. And actually you'll know about all about the history of Blood Feast through Joe Bob's commentary. This one I actually did watch, and it's really interesting to hear him talk about Herschel Gordon Lewis and his past with Herschel Gordon Lewis too. Mm-hmm. But Herschel Gordon Lewis's movies are so bad. I know you saw Wizard of Gore. That you've seen. That's the one.
Yes.
Yeah, where we couldn't remember the name of the killer. Now you thought it was Sardou, but that was fucking blood-sucking freaks.
Wait, yeah, blood-sucking freaks. Sardou the Magnificent.
Yes.
Love it.
This would make a wonderful toilet bowl. Okay. The next one is Basket Case. Frank Canelotter's Basket Case. Yes? No?
No.
Oh, Jesus, Harold Christ.
I know.
Dude.
I sound like an asshole. Why do I
You are an asshole. Let me tell you this real fucking
I've only
fast.
seen...
Nick.
Anyway, I think I have seen Basket Case, and I just
Make sure... Okay, and
I should probably actually check my...
People,
Wait a minute.
I'm going to get graphic here for a minute, and it's going to be a nasty visual. My apologies. But, Nick, make sure your family and nobody is around. Okay? Because
now?
No. When you watch these movies.
Wait, I've totally seen Basket Case.
Okay.
Get back to the story. I'm sorry.
Oh, no. What I was going to say is that as you're watching this, you're probably just going to sit there and want to grab your junk while you're watching all these movies because it's everything you love. And I can't wait to get to one I know you haven't seen. And I'm like, why has Nick not seen this? Oh, yeah. Anyway, we'll get to that in a second. But Basket Case, wonderful movie. it's actually, it was Joe Bob Briggs that made Basket Case what it is. Because he's the only one that championed the movie when it came out. I didn't get to watch his take on this, but I remember watching my Basket Case DVD, and Henenlotter says nothing but wonderful things about Joe Bob Briggs, and he said that he's the one that brought it to Texas and showed it and brought it all over and said, this is the movie to watch for that time, and it became a huge hit because of him. So really cool. Henenlotter is really cool director, really good director. He's I call him the David Cronenberg, like he's the B movie version of David Cronenberg, if that makes sense. Okay.
Not really.
No. The next movie. Ready?
Yeah.
Reanimator.
Of course. We just did an episode on Reanimator like 3 months ago. And I love Reanimator.
Yes. We discussed that. Okay. So the next one. Here we go. We don't have to mention. Everybody knows Reanimator. Okay. All right. Demons.
Yes.
Demons. You didn't see Demons, you piece of shit. Now, when you watch Demons now, this is the day. This is the moment where everybody in your family has to leave the room, because you are going to absolutely love Joe Bob's commentary on it and the film itself. And I'll just tell you this. He even says this movie is about nothing. It's just people go to a movie theater, demons attack them, and people die.
Didn't I see Demons on that old show?
No, you didn't see Demons on that old show, because...
Didn't we do Demons?
I don't know if we did Demons on that
old show.
Okay,
I'm pretty sure I remember people being in a movie theater being attacked by demons. This sounds like something...
You probably did see it, and you... Maybe
I know. I see things and then I forget that I saw them, but I'm pretty sure...
Maybe did we do Demons? I don't remember.
I'm pretty sure we did that on another podcast. We've both been on...
Johnny Cast.
Podcast.
It was Johnny Cast. That's what it was.
Next, what else is there?
There's the Legend of Boggy Creek.
Okay.
Now, here's the thing about Boggy Creek. It's a slow-going movie. It is the one that actually inspired Blair Witch Project. It's about, Bigfoot or Sasquatch, whatever you want to call it. Have you seen Boggy Creek?
No.
Okay. Legend of Boggy Creek is Charles B. Pierce, who made Town of Dread Sundown and the other Boggy Creek sequel and shit. I can't remember the movie that he wrote. He wrote a really famous movie, but I'll watch the commentary on it is pretty interesting. It's a G-rated horror movie that feels like a Disney documentary, but ran through a washer and dryer. It's really piss poor quality, but I really enjoy it, and it's slow and just mundane and stupid, but the commentary on this makes it even more watchable. When I first watched it, I really enjoyed it. When I watched it on this, I was like, oh my god, this movie is kind of slow and boring, but I'm still loving every second of it. It's just, there's something about it that I love, but I can't describe why. Sometimes, you like boring movies. There's a boring movie that you're just like, this is comfort food. That's kind of what it is.
Absolutely.
And it's got these terrible songs that become catchy because Joe Bob sings them later. Anyway. Okay.
Great.
Hellraiser is the next one.
Hey, we totally watched Demons. I've totally seen it.
Did we?
I did it.
Oh, son of a bitch. Did you
there
like
you go.
it?
According to this chart I'm looking at, I did like it, yes.
Okay. Well, Demons 2 you didn't see.
Why can't I remember it? I do. Wait, does a dude drive like a motorbike?
Yes.
Then I totally saw this movie.
Then you should have it. You should own it.
Well, now I can watch Joe Bob talk about it. Sorry. So you just said another movie that I forgot the name.
Hellraiser.
Oh, all right. I've seen Hellraiser. Everyone's seen Hellraiser.
Everybody's seen Hellraiser, and that's the problem that he faced when he was talking about Hellraiser. But he still manages to tell you shit about Hellraiser. One other thing about Joe Bob that happens, and it happens to us quite a bit too, is he gets into rants that have nothing to do with the movie.
Right. That's pretty much this whole
It's
episode.
all an episode. And by God, dude, the rant for Hellraiser is ridiculous. It's about his take on taking a knee. Mm-hmm. And it's actually, the rant on demons is fucking wonderful. He describes the entire history of demons, like the whole demon series. And oh my God, it is hysterical. The other thing too about Boggy Creek, he actually has a chart, like a map, and shows you where all these places took, or all these things took place. It's
Really?
cool. Oh yeah, dude, it's really awesome. Okay, so the very last movie was Pieces.
Pieces. Which is a terrible, wonderful movie.
And the reason he chose
From 1981.
it's everything that he is.
Yeah.
That's basically what he was saying. He's like, this is the movie that is me. You know, this is what I'm all about. You know, breasts, blood, gore, stupidity, terrible drive-in crap movie. And that's everything that Pieces is. And I'm not going to quote the tagline. We all know it, but
No, we don't. Not the listeners.
the listeners know.
Do you people know? Nobody answered.
Nobody answered. Well, that's because they can't talk to us. This ain't a live
Yeah.
show. Hang on. You have a... No, okay. So, Nick,
We have a caller on the line. No.
You
The
watched-
first ever caller.
you watched this episode of the show.
I watched pretty much the final third of it.
The final third.
And it's, I mean, first off, the movie, if you have never seen, this movie's hilariously bad. Hilariously bad. And some of the stuff that Joe Bob went over was there for one scene, for no reason in this movie, a Bruce Lee impersonator shows up and is just like delivering food. Nobody explains it. Nobody really goes back to it and says, why was he here? It just happens in the movie. This is like how crazily horrible this movie is. Shit just happens, and then you think it's part of something, but it's not. So anyway, when it goes back to Joe Bob in the interstitial, he ranked all of the Bruce Lee impersonators that came after Bruce Lee died, and like Lee Bruce and Bruce Lay and. Man, that was so fucking good. There was also in that part was what else did he do? You know what? The ending was kind of like moving for a lot of horror fans because he gives a little monologue that I think he treated as if it was his goodbye. Not Bruce Lay. I mean, it was Joe Bob who gave the monologue, and he was just talking like it was his goodbye. Now it seems like it's going to be like a thing because this was so successful. They're going to have to do more last drive-ins, marathons. I hope.
You know, it's the part that you did miss was the beginning. He talked about his history with Zachary, and he said that.
Who's Zachary? Explain it to the people.
Zachary is like the very first horror host, and he says this knowing that yes, Zachary came after Vampirella, but he said she wasn't a horror host. She was just like this doll that just came out and said, "Oh, here's this movie, but I'm going to do a bunch of comedy sketches," and did not talk about the movie at all. Didn't even care about the movie. It was all about her persona. Zachary came into the mix and he was the host of Chiller Theater, and Chiller is still an ongoing convention right now, but he would be the horror host, and he said that him and all the others copied Zachary, and they owe everything they can to him, and he actually gives an entire history of like their past, like how they crossed paths, and you know what had happened, and he actually gets choked up talking about him, and how much that, you know, I mean, Zachary had recently passed not too long ago, and he gets really, really somber about it, but it's kind of like beautiful to watch, you know, because he's like paying his homage, but he's actually gives a shit rather than, oh yeah, there's this guy before me and he's great, you know, we're gonna miss you, Zachary, on to my bullshit, you know. He gives a heartfelt speech, and I mean, you think my emotions watching this, because I was watching when I had gotten home from work, and I just kept Shudder on when it started to work, by the way, just so I could see the show, and it was still running. And what was it? Legend of Boggy Creek is where it was. I didn't get to see anything before that, besides Sleepaway Camp and Tourist Trap the night before. So my emotions watching Pieces was just like, oh man, that's really cool. And then, all right, Pieces, titties, blood, gore. Oh my god, this is funny. Everything's funny. And then the end of the show came, and my girlfriend had passed out, and I was just sitting there going, fuck, this is terrible. Because his speech at the end of that show was everything that we're saying condensed. So go ahead and watch that rather than listen to us. But like, he actually says that little stupid show was just for all the misfits and people that didn't feel like they felt, part of the mainstream. That's what Monster Vision was. That they had somewhere to go.
Right.
That's what it was.
And I mean, what he said at the end, that it was very similar to stuff that we've even experienced, is like when he did Monster Vision, he thought it was just, him having fun making a show, but people would come to him or write to him and be like, you saved me. Right. You saved my life because you showed me that like weird people like me exist, and it's okay that I like these weird movies, you know? Even us with this podcast and the other one, occasionally you'll just get a message out of the blue that's just like, thanks, you guys got me through the hardest time in my life. And we're like, us? Like, you listen to us? But it's because when you do this sort of thing, or when Joe Bob does his thing, you just sound like the friends that some people don't have. And I understand that, because I don't actually have those friends either. I just have Jack. When you're dead, what am I going to do? Like,
you're probably going to act like you're still talking to me.
Exactly.
I'll find a way to come back. Don't worry.
No, jeez, no, I don't want that. But
maybe I'll come back as a gray alien.
No, I really don't want that. Don't come to me.
That would be awesome. You know what I figured out? It's not gray aliens. It's actually cats that people are seeing, because we got gray cats and they look like aliens.
No, I don't want to talk about gray aliens. Look, the point is, it's definitely one of those things that it's like, it's weird to be a horror fan. It is weird. And like, for as much as we want to be like, the normies are the weird ones, it's hard to be the only one who likes this type of stuff. And as this sort of like nerdy person that you or I are, or the listeners are, no offense, listeners, but you know exactly what we mean, where it's like, whether you like video games or comic books or like Dungeons and Dragons or whatever your bag is, that it's like you kind of can't bring it up at the office water cooler. Like, hey, I just saw this movie Hereditary, and let me tell you about what happens. You can't have that conversation at work. In fact, you may be the person that other people find out is the office weirdo, and they'll come to you like, oh, Nick, I just heard this horror movie and I saw it on the TV. It's called Paranormal Activity 3. And you're like, and then you have to humor them through a conversation about a movie you watched 8 years ago or whatever. This happens all the time to me. I'm sure it happens to you. Well, it doesn't actually happen in my new job yet, because they haven't found out that I'm like the weirdo. Like one time somebody found out I was into heavy metal music because my YouTube was playing, and like I turned to talk to them and my headphones popped out of the computer and it started playing Mastodon real loud. and I was like, oh shit, sorry, let me pause that. And they were like, Nick, are you some kind of metalhead? And I was like, what does that mean? I was almost mean to them about it. I was like, what do you mean by that? Am I some kind of metalhead? I didn't mention that I once was the host of the Devil Horns Heavy Metal podcast, which you could still find online for some reason. I didn't mention that sort of thing. I was just like, what do you mean, metalhead? Because I don't even understand what they meant by it, because they said it like negatively. But I don't even know if they meant it negatively. I think that they literally never met a person who liked heavy metal music. And that's just metal. Imagine if it was horror. Imagine if I had a horror movie playing and they were like, Nick, you're into those chainsaw movies? You've had these experiences in life where you have to suddenly be like, yes. Or like the story that you've told many times about how like you worked with a guy who just assumed you were into serial killers because you like horror movies, which is really
funny
I found
story.
that fucking offensive, because it's like, dude, just because you're into horror movies doesn't mean you're automatically into murderabilia. But of course, these people out there, it doesn't matter if you're into horror movies or murderabilia. They don't even know what murderabilia is. They just assume that it's what you like.
Funny story about that guy. Guess where he is right now?
Jail?
You got it. I'm not going to tell you what he did, because what he did is actually worse than murder.
Life finds a way. So
what he did is worse than murder.
He cloned dinosaurs.
No, pretty close though. Pretty damn close.
That'll be our code.
Actually, cloning dinosaurs would be cooler than what he did. What he did is more despicable than the most despicable thing you could possibly ever imagine in your life.
And yet,
he judged me.
Judged you as the weird one.
Yep.
So that's what we as horror fans have to put up with. And that's what it feels so good when you see something like Joe Bob or anything, podcasts or anything, people just sharing their love of horror and doing it genuinely.
Right.
Because then you know that there's someone else out there who's a weirdo like you.
We release the poison by watching these movies. Yes.
We're weirdos like you. We get it.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I'm saying. We get our shits out by watching these movies. The other people that, some of them are cool, some of them are just uptight and just boring, whatever.
Right.
Everybody has their own thing, so be it. Who cares? But we understand each other, whereas they don't understand us, and that's okay. They don't have to understand us, because I know I don't understand a lot of them. You guys probably don't understand them, so there's no point. It's like, just worry about yourself, and everything that Joe Bob is, and hopefully always is just, he's the voice that everybody needs in horror. And the show, I actually did send a tweet out just because I was just blown away with emotions right at the end of it. Mm-hmm. I was just like, this is exactly what horror needed. Because I've seen nothing but negativity left and right all over the place. Mm-hmm. Just people trash talking. Just the whole fucking goddamn presidency that everybody, it's like back and forth, and this and that.
Right.
Nothing. Nobody's complaining. Even he bust Trump's balls during the show. And this is not, I'm not going on a political rant, but nobody complained. Everything he said was just, people just embraced what they were part of. Mm-hmm. And that's what it felt like. It was a giant communal thing that horror has been missing, more so than conventions and all that other shit, because a lot of people miss out on conventions. This was just something that, free trial, and everybody said, you know what, fuck it, I'm going to give it a shot and just watch horror movies with this guy.
Right.
And people just were so happy for one fucking night. And that's why everybody wants this to continue. I mean, I actually joined a Facebook page that they created. The fans had created, especially one dude, Michael Romano, who's like, he's over a lot of horror pages, and he's one of the coolest people to meet. I have never met him, but we have a mutual friend. But he started it for them, and it already has 1,000 members, like that fast, like within a day or two. And everybody is just nonstop posting about, oh man, I'm going to watch this movie. This is my first time watching Sleepaway Camp. This is my first time watching Tourist Trap. And it's like, wow, holy shit. This just opened up the floodgates of people experiencing these movies for the first time and just experiencing Joe Bob for the first time. And you don't fucking get that anymore.
Right.
And God bless
it
Shudder.
was- yeah.
And, I mean, bless them for doing this. Yeah, the servers got fucked up. Shit happens. And I mentioned this to Nick. Whenever something horror related goes live on the internet, shit goes south. Every fucking time. You can't get on. Vinegar
Definitely.
Syndrome. Their fucking servers always take a shit on their Black Friday and halfway to Black Friday sale. You're sitting there hitting refresh, try to put stuff in your shopping cart. Refresh, try to put shit in your shopping cart. No matter what. And if you just leave it sit, your whole shopping cart goes away, and then you got to start over. It's actually, it makes you want to put a hand through a wall. But that happened. Friday 13th game we had mentioned before. That happened where the servers were just overwhelmed with so much, because that was a big communal event, I would say, the Friday 13th, but not as much as this. This was a little bit more than that.
And
Or a lot more than that, I should say.
you know, just to talk about Shudder a little bit more in general, there are a ton of horror movies on there that I actually I'm flipping through the movie list right now. All the movies that we just mentioned are available with or without Joe Bob's commentary, which is great. But there's I think, all right, like every Rob Zombie movie's on here, which is not on Netflix. They have Shudder Originals, and they've started releasing movies that there's stuff on here that just looks so cool. There's one called Mon Monsters, which I can't wait to watch just because it sounds anything with the stupid title. Put it in my watch list. Do they have a watch
You were
list?
going
I
to
don't
say
know.
belly, weren't you?
Oh, no. I didn't know if it was a watch list or not. I don't want to eat the movies. I want to watch them. But no, there's a million other things on here. I will say they don't really have the big modern releases of horror, but they have shit like Dude Bro Party Massacre 3, which we reviewed on this show.
They have the
They have
Phantasms.
the Phantasms. There's a movie I was watching the other day called Mark of the Devil. The only reason I started watching it was because it was called, the first 5 words of the description are Udo Kier is a witch hunter.
Yes.
I pushed play immediately. It's from 1969, where he is a pretty young boy, and it is pretty funny to watch that. But there's tons more. I was watching the TV show Hammer House of Horror on there. And I mean, there are newer horror movies. Don't get me wrong. It's not like there aren't new ones in here. But I just am more. I'm more interested in a lot of the older ones just because there's so much in here.
And
I don't know.
Even
It's pretty
Arrow,
cool.
Arrow released a lot of movies on there as well.
Mm-hmm.
Like they'll release the movie, but then you can watch What Have You Done to Solange and Female Scorpion and a whole bunch of shit on there too. And
it's their version of it, right?
Yeah, it's their version, their remastered version. Yep. You get them. You get Tucker and Dale's on there, and
Excision, which is a great movie.
Excision,
Nurse-
Turkey Shoot, Beyond the Black Rainbow was on there.
Nurse 3D, which is a movie that only me and Jack liked out of everyone in the world. Documentaries like Best Worst Movie. There's one called Leviathan on the history of Hellraiser, which I haven't seen yet. And
that one's good. What else was on there? Never Sleep Again was on there, and so was Crystal Lake Memories. I don't know if they're still on there or not. I haven't checked that, but
at any rate, though, I think that's pretty much everything that we can possibly say.
Oh, there's more, but I'm not going to.
That people would want to listen to. I really am suddenly into Shudder. And you know what? You might want to get it because maybe we're going to start reviewing movies from on here if we find a good one that we're like, oh, here's a classic or brand new one that we have to go and tell the people about. We'll do it.
We'll be the Shudder Show. Jack and Nick Shudder Show. No.
If they pay us, I'll do it. Wait a minute.
No.
Would I do it if I don't get paid? I might.
It might happen.
Maybe we should just be Jack and Nick watch Shudder.
That's a good. No, okay. We're not going to do
We actually could, because there's enough movies on
There's
here that
enough
we could
movies,
do 3,000 episodes or something.
I mean, I'm shaking a stick at it, and there's more movies than. Okay. All right. So, by the way, Demons 2 is on Shudder. You need to watch fucking Demons 2 because you might like Demons 2 more than Demons 1. I'm not kidding.
I understand.
It's crazier than Demons.
You know what's cool is I just bought a tablet on It's Prime Day. I don't know what day you're listening to this. This could come out in the year 2019
This
for
might
all
come
we
out.
know.
This might come out before the other show.
Oh, yeah. We have another one recorded that we just keep forgetting to release. And I'm going to be recording another one when I finally get out to see The Purge, even though it's been weeks since The Purge came out. I don't care. I'm going to do it. But it's okay, so today is Prime Day, Amazon Prime Day, and I just bought a tablet, and I'm like, oh, you know what'll be awesome? I could sit there and play video games and put my little tablet next to me and play Shudder on it. How cool would that be? I can watch all this shit that I want to see.
You know what
I can do two things at once because I'm a multitasker.
I'm the same.
Put that on my resume.
You know what I learned how to do, even though I already did it before, but then I thought to myself, oh shit, that's right. I purchased this phone for a reason. So I got the 250 gig phone, which I'm still paying out my ass for, because I have really long drives, as you know. Just one day alone, last week, I drove for 8 hours.
Ugh.
So I said to myself, I'm like, you know what? You gotta start putting movies on there. And just listen to commentaries or watch the movies that you already know, because I can't watch something and drive because it's dangerous. But there's a history with me, Jack, where I come from an age before there were like ways to watch movies in your car, and we would always drive to my grandparents' house like every other weekend, which they lived in Wildwood. I lived near Philly. And it was like an hour and a half to 2 hour drive. 2 hour drive felt like a fucking eternity when you're younger. So what I would do is I would record like movies like DC Cab, TV shows like Half Nelson, Christine, right? I would listen to the movie on cassette. Yeah. And just listen to the audio.
There are people out there right now that are like, "What the fuck are these old men talking about?"
No,
but this is how people used to live.
How we used to live, and the way we had to do it was we had to get a recorder and put it up to a speaker and record it. But then later on, I figured out a way to record the audio from a movie through the speaker system without putting a microphone up to it. And I would actually listen. Oh yeah, National Lampoon's Vacation. Even I would listen to these movies, and that's where I was able to understand dialogue and all that kind of shit, but I would picture the movie in my head because I'd seen it so many times,
and that's why you have such a vivid imagination.
No, but now watching, like the other day, a guy said, one of my coworkers, how much driving did you do the other day? I'm like, well, I got through Police Academy 1 through 6. I got through the early Adam Sandler career. I watched Fatal Games again. It's gone through a whole list. He's like, seriously? I said, oh, yeah. That's how much driving your host does. So anyway.
Man, there's a movie that I think is going to be the worst movie of the decade. You know how every episode I have to mention that we are going to do at the end of 2019 the best movies of the decade, the top 10 bottom 1 of the decade. My bottom 1 is still the movie Borgman, and it is so bad. Not Man Borg, Borgman. And guess what? It's on Shudder. So Jack, go watch that movie so you could see how awful it is.
Not gonna die.
Yep, you gotta put it on your little cassette and put it in your Walkman.
Not gonna die. Fuck you, dude.
No. That's one for the people.
Not gonna do it.
Yeah, nobody do it, please. I don't want you to get hurt.
I bet you it's a wonderful movie. Nick has terrible taste sometimes.
No, that one is so bad.
It's funny. Somebody that's a mutual friend of ours, he had commented about you're not loving Hereditary. And I said to him, Nick is a wild card. Sometimes you're like, man, Nick's going to love this, and then Nick doesn't love it. But I can't say that I'm not that different from you, because there have been movies where you're like, oh, this is a Jack movie, and every time you say that, you're fucking wrong. Like, this movie's not good. It's all right.
That's not true.
Nah. Well, that fucking, what the hell was it? The one where the guy dies and then comes back to life, and he...
The Sixth Sense.
The Revenant.
Revenant.
Yeah.
Yeah, you didn't like that one. I liked it a lot.
And you're like, oh my god, this is... I'm like, that's not my movie.
That was like 8 years ago.
That was so long. Oh my god, I can't believe it's 8. Okay, we're gonna play catch up and then go to bed. If I can hate you.
Okay.
But thank you, Shudder and Joe Bob Briggs, and
Yeah, that was really cool.
Everybody involved, you guys were fantastic.
And just check it out, horror fans. Just go check out the free trial, because it actually, it's like, there was a time when it was not worth looking at, and now the times have changed, and it's worth looking at.
And hopefully,
go look at it.
Others are paying attention to this and saying, "Oh my gosh, there's actually a big crowd for this kind of stuff."
Yeah.
Maybe we'll get more product like it. Finally. Jesus.
I don't know.
No,
Let's hope.
I think it's going to happen. I think that's a pretty big deal that happened this weekend. So, and I'm glad that whoever watched it or is going to watch it did it, and I hope you guys enjoyed it, because I sure did. So did Nick. All right, let's catch up.
All right.
Catch up.
Goodbye.
Catching up.
Wait, don't leave.
They can.
Hi.
Why? I didn't see it.
Right. Welcome to my parlor.
Welcome. Nick, you have seen some stuff. What movie or show do you want to talk about first?
I actually just talked about all the stuff I had seen.
Oh, are you serious?
Except for like one thing. Well, two things, but I'm going to get to those in a second.
Do you want to go first?
Yes. Well, just real quick, I'm just going to mention the two things. Yes, Mark of the Devil on that channel, Shudder. I watched that. I also watched Hammer House of Horror, which is pretty cool. 1970s little TV show. Go watch that. British. Yep. And I watched Rob Zombie's 31, which I didn't watch all of again, but I watched part of, just because I love Richard Brake in that so goddamn much.
Fantastic in that.
He's the most underrated villain in the world. He's so fucking great, dude.
Called Asylum Blackout.
Yeah,
you would probably enjoy. You would probably really enjoy.
Is Richard
He's in it? Yes, he is.
He's like moved into my top 5 favorite active actors all of a sudden.
And it's funny. He was in Halloween 2 as the ambulance driver that yells "fuck" about 1,000,000 times.
Right. He was also, for those of you who may want to hear of something that you can recognize him from, he was the Night's King in Game of Thrones before they recast him with somebody else, which I don't know why they did, because he was actually even the better Night's King. But he is as Doomface or Doomhead in 31. 31, not a great movie. Doomhead, fantastic character. I can't wait to see Richard Brake in more things. He's going to be in 3 from Hell, the next Rob Zombie movie. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, he's wonderful. And 31 is kind of long-winded, and it just takes forever to get to the good stuff. And it's
it should be about 40 minutes long. Yeah. And also the problem is he's in one scene and it's the best scene in the movie, and then he's not in the movie for like another hour, and the whole movie is just waiting for him to come back.
Yeah. That's pretty much, you're right. Just like, where'd that guy go?
I did an episode on it. Go back and listen, kids.
Yeah. Okay. There's something I saw that. Okay. Hey, you might laugh about.
Really?
This. Yeah, you might laugh at me, but I don't care. Actually, I'll just mention 2 fast ones. Last House on Massacre Street. I watched and I really enjoyed. That's written by the guy that wrote Blood Rage, and I really fucking love Blood Rage. We should do that for Thanksgiving this year, Nick. Blood Rage.
Blood Rage?
Blood Rage, yeah.
Okay.
I'll get a copy to you somehow.
No problem.
And
thank you.
You're welcome.
Get your dad.
I just, the movie is like very, very shitty, but it's cool. It feels like it's basically it was originally called The Bride. Husband or a couple, this girl gets a housemaid. She borrows money from her rich father, and she goes, "Hey, this is where we're going to live." And the guy's like, "Cool," and then he works with her dad at a law firm, and then there's a wedding for him and her, but the father's not a fan of him dating his daughter, this guy dating his daughter.
Right.
So at the wedding, the guy fucks this other girl. And the other girl, weirdly enough, is the mom from Creep Show in the beginning, Tom Atkins' wife. So he's not fucking her necessarily. You just see them hooking up, and then she sees them. She grabs a pair of scissors and starts stabbing him, but doesn't kill him. And she just vanishes and goes away. And then the rest of the movie is him still working for the father, and they don't know where he doesn't know where the daughter is, but you know he acts like he doesn't know what the fuck's going on. You obviously know what he is or what is going on, but they keep getting tortured and tormented by the wife in weird ways, like in dreams and all this other shit, and then it all starts to make sense as it progresses, and it has a pretty crazy ending. I really enjoyed it. It's like kind of very drive-in, very shitty. It's actually on a thing that Dark Force Entertainment released, a double bill of what is it, Last House on Dead End Street, or no, fuck, it's the other one with David. I can't, my brain fried. Anyway, good movie, check it out. It's on Amazon Prime. The other one, real quick, before I mention the big one that you're gonna be like, what the fuck's wrong with Jack, is Demon Witch Child. Which Code Red
Demon Witch Child.
Yes, Demon Witch Child. I think it's also on Prime, not on Shudder. Sorry, Shudder, but Demon Witch Child is like another knockoff of The Exorcist, except the girl that's in it looks like Gelfling from The Dark Crystal, that movie you hate. It's god awful. Terrible.
Yeah,
but it's watchable.
I really do hate The Dark Crystal.
I know you do. That's why I mentioned it again. We're going to try to mention it every episode about why you don't like The Dark Crystal.
Right.
Okay, so
looks like an alien.
Is there another movie you have before I mention the one I have to mention?
No, you know what? Talk about the movie, then I'm going to talk about the stuff people might not care about, and then we'll close the show.
Okay. So, I watched a movie that's PG-13. Not that that's a bad thing. PG-13 horror is good. But I was like, okay, let me just not pay attention to this piece of shit and just watch it, just so I could say, yeah, I saw this piece of shit, because it would be interesting and entertaining to talk about on the show if it were in fact a piece of shit.
Okay.
Much like the remember the Prom Night remake. Like, I like Prom Night. It has its boring moments, the original, but I still like it. The remake is, you know what it is. It's
oh yeah,
it's just not, you know.
It's a poop shoot of a remake.
Yeah. So.
Made for kids. But you know what? I still don't think we should shit on it too much, because maybe there will be a tween who sees that movie and is turned on to horror by it. I'm yet to hear about it happening, but maybe.
Yeah, probably in about 3 years, they're going to listen to this episode and be like, fuck you, I loved Prom Night. We'll say, sorry, you were stupid and old, we don't know much. Anyway, that's not how we'll talk back, or in that future. Okay, so, Wish Upon. Remember that movie?
Yes.
Okay.
Is it? I think it's on Netflix now, isn't it?
It's on Prime. A lot of this.
Amazon Prime.
Yeah.
Okay. Us and our streaming services.
I like the way you sounded like you had a lisp.
I don't know. I can never. My problem with voices is I could never replicate that again. The reason I sound so disappointed right now is because I'm disappointed because I made you laugh, and I can never do that voice again. Great. I can never replicate it. I know, I just can't do it.
I could do so many voices that I just don't do on a show, thankfully, for everybody's sake and ears. Okay. So, Wish Upon. All right, so if you don't know what Wish Upon is, I'll just describe it. Wish Upon is one of those things. It's a little music box deal that a girl gets, and she.
It's like a Chinese trinket box or something.
Box,
yeah?
Yes, yeah.
I don't know if it's a trinket box.
So, if you make a wish from it, your wish is granted. However, there's a payment that has to be done, and as a payment in blood. So somebody must die. It's kind of like that the Button movie, the Button that was in, the Twilight Zone, the what the hell is it? The one with Cameron Diaz. What's his name? Richard Kelly made the one that was the end of Richard Kelly's career, and Cameron Diaz kind of like
Vanilla Sky?
no. What the fuck is it?
I have no
Frank
idea what you're
Langella's in
talking
it.
about.
James Marsden. I can't think of it. I'll remember it later.
You got to check the internet.
Oh, god damn it. Okay, hang on a second. Okay, so anyway, I'll check the internet while I'm doing this. So that's the basic premise of it. Funny enough, guess who is in the movie? Okay, you didn't guess. It's Ryan Phillippe.
I didn't know if that was rhetorical or not.
Remember Ryan?
You want me to guess?
Yeah,
Werewolf.
No, Ryan Phillippe. Remember Ryan Phillippe? From I Know What You Did Last Summer, Cruel Intentions,
Yeah.
Studio 54. Okay, I really like him. He's a cool guy. The Box, that's what it's called, The Box. Remember The Box?
Yes, The Box. That wasn't Cameron Diaz. That was Nicole Kidman.
That was Cameron Diaz, you dickbag. It's Cameron Diaz. I'm looking at Cameron Diaz's face right now. Okay. Cameron Diaz, James Marsden, Frank Langella. I got all the names right. All right. And rest in peace, James Rayborn. Oh, Joanne Jacobs was also in it, too. Okay. So, I haven't seen The Box. But, anyway. And Sherilyn Fenn is in it, too. Minor role, nothing major. All right. So, okay. PG-13. Movie about Music Box, Ryan Phillippe. Got shit upon. Wish Upon was shit upon by people when it came out, if you recall.
Yeah.
So that's why I was like, all right, let's just watch this. I fucking loved it. I don't know.
Really?
I don't know. And here's why. I love the Final Destination movies. And this is a Final Destination movie.
Okay.
That's why I loved it. Sure, she gets the wishes and stuff, and it's very teenage. It's like after-school special teenage shit. Guess who else is in it? Barb from Stranger Things. But I fucking loved it. I was like, this is what I want. I love, like, teen movies. I just fucking love. I'm not, like, a pervert. But, like, I just love, like, teen angst and, like, this girl's fucking that kid and this kid's fucking that girl. And, they all hate each other and love each other and blah, blah, blah. It's like Rules of Attraction kind of shit.
Uh-huh.
Except it's just in high school. But not necessarily, like, Rules of Attraction at all. But it's got that kind of story going. And this girl is just doing all this wishing, and people within the movie are dying horrible deaths. And I love the ending, too, because you kind of know where it's going, but when it happens, you're like, of course it goes there. So
really?
Yeah. It's one of those, though, I loved it, but I can see people going, dude, you're fucking stupid. So what? I enjoyed it. You didn't. Don't care, because that's my opinion. I enjoyed the fucking movie.
Very interesting.
I know, dude. I was like, what is wrong with me? I couldn't stop watching it. And Ryan Phillippe is great in it, by the way. That's why I mentioned him. He's like, it's good to see him acting again, because I know he went through a bad time. So yeah, Wish Upon, good movie, recommended by me.
I'm still dealing with my Mandela effect experience over here, where I thought Nicole Kidman was in that other movie, The Box. I don't know about that one. I don't even know what the hell I was thinking about, but that's that. Downthrone. Are you done talking about movies? Can I talk about the other shit?
Yeah, please.
Okay, so 2 horror-based things that I did or watched or read or looked at. One of them is the graphic novel called Outcast, which is by Robert Kirkman, who wrote The Walking Dead. It is available for like $10 at your local comic book store. Don't go looking on Amazon, and don't go getting it at Barnes & Noble. When you buy a comic book, you go to a comic book store. Anyway, it's a graphic novel, and it's kind of about I almost don't want to tell you what it's about, but I'm going to tell you. It involves supernatural things happening to people. It's very obvious that it's dealing with people who are possessed, and the story goes in pretty weird directions right from the start. I don't know if I'm going to continue with the series, though. I don't know if I felt completely hooked by it, but I felt like it was a pretty good read on its own for $10. It is much like in The Walking Dead, it kind of takes a very realistic, gritty grounded look at what would happen to someone's life. One of the things I always point out in horror movies is you know, like the end of Insidious 1, what happens at the end of Insidious 1 does not allow Insidious 2, 3, 4 to happen. Because after Insidious 1, everybody goes to jail. Nobody believes that a bunch of ghosts showed up and killed this lady and choked her to death. No. You go to jail. And they kind of deal with that in Insidious 2. But then they're just like, whatever, we can't prove anything. No. Doesn't happen in real life. And this kind of deals with the aspects of, well, what if a ghost just went around ruining people's lives? How does that affect them? How does that traumatize them? How does that lead to horrible things in their life that they get blamed for, even though it was a possessed ghost doing it? That sort of thing, right? Mm-hmm. Yep. So it's a heavy read. It's kind of bleak. And maybe that's why I'm kind of not turned on by it a whole lot. But for $10, you might like it. So check that out at your local comic book store. Not Amazon. Pay Amazon for other shit. I got a tablet from Amazon. I can't buy that at the comic book store. See? So anyway, the other thing.
I did not read it.
Oh yeah, I figured you did. Well, I can loan you my book, except
I still have to give you those.
I know I haven't seen you for years, unfortunately, just because life.
We'll get together soon.
By the way, life finds a way.
Shit! I gotta tell you, I can't tell you on the show. Go ahead.
Oh my god. Okay.
No, it's really cool. I'll tell you.
I played this game on PlayStation 4, which Jack has, so I mentioned it as there, but it's also on Xbox. It just came out on Xbox, and I may have mentioned it a little last episode, but I don't care. I'm going to mention it again. I beat it this week. It's Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice, and this game is about a woman who experiences mental illness, and it is not done in that exploitative, glorifying way that horror movies commonly take, where like they go to the insane asylum and there's a rusty wheelchair with wacky people in it, and I really have a problem with that sometimes when horror movies just take like mental illness and make something ridiculous out of it, and especially when it becomes a trope, it's just really weird. But what they did in this video game is they made the game with actual people who suffer from psychoses and neurologists to get the effects of those diseases on the character properly, so you can kind of experience it as the character goes through it. And as I said at the beginning of this explanation, she's a Viking, or at least lives in like Viking times. I don't know if she's actually a Viking, but she lives amongst the Norse people, and someone close to her has died, so she literally goes to hell to bring them back. To hell. Mm-hmm. And
you're right. You can't redo the same voice.
No, I can never do it. I'll try it a third time.
Go ahead.
Sorry. To hell. Anyway, she literally goes there to try and find them, and the game is intense, and because of all the like hallucinatory effects that your character is experiencing, you can't let the game go when you're away from it. It sticks in your brain. I've heard of people having nightmares from playing this game and wearing headphones at the same time, because the character, you hear her inner monologue talking as a narrator of the game, but also there are other voices that are like doubting her as she's doing it, which is like similar to people who actually hear voices. They don't hear like, pick up the stick and kill her, I'm your dog talking to you. Well, all right, one guy listened to his dog talking to him, telling him to kill people. But it doesn't happen like that all the time, and it's very trying. The game is kind of short. It's only like 8 or 9 hours, and I totally recommend it. I think it's like under $30, especially. Oh wait, on sale until today because it's Prime Day and everything's on sale on PlayStation. Maybe it's on sale again. Go check it out. And maybe it's on sale on Xbox. Maybe it's on sale on PC. Go watch and go play. It's under $30. It's about 8 or 9 hour game. Also, the graphics, some of the most amazing graphics I've ever seen in my life. I think it might be one of my favorite horror games Definitely one of my favorite horror games that I've played in a while. But it might be one of my favorite horror games overall. And I love horror video games. It was the first one that kind of made me feel things I felt when I played Silent Hill 2 back in the day, which is my favorite horror game and one of my very favorite video games, like top 5. So, I'm not saying that this game was in the top 5. I'm just saying it had elements that really pull me in certain directions. And I don't want to spoil any of it for you. Some of the actual gameplay is a little bit repetitive, like the fighting system, as there is combat, and some of the puzzle solving gets repetitive or even tedious. But it is still something that you start and you have to finish. Very good game.
I have not played it.
Well, check it out.
Fine.
You can stop playing Star Wars for a little.
No, it's never going to happen. I maxed out the the level in which my heavy trooper is at.
Really?
I can't get any higher than... yeah. I'm the highest level you could possibly get to. Yet, I continuously play to beat the shit out of people.
Man.
And I get my ass kicked a lot, too. It's fun. It works both ways.
I understand. I've been that guy, too. I'm not taking the high road on video games, people. No. I am also that guy.
No, it's fun to just play. That's all. It's like, hey, I'm going to play a couple rounds of this. And it takes like 10 minutes per round, and then you're like, I'm out. Rather than, I'm going to play this game for the next 10 hours.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not going to do that.
Right.
That's why
sometimes that happens.
Sometimes it happens. That's why I'm, when I was, when I twisted my ankle, that's when I play like Beyond Two Souls and shit.
Yeah.
Which is not really a game. They might as well just made a movie.
Yeah, that's a weird one, and not their best one.
No, it was cool, but did you notice that Stranger Things kind of took a lot from that fucking game?
Yes, actually I did, but no one believes me because no one believes that Beyond Two Souls is a video game.
Yeah,
because no one ever heard of it until recently.
Yeah,
for some reason. Well, it's not for some reason. It's because they only. Quantic Dream, the studio who makes it, only makes a video game like every 5 years. And, Heavy Rain, that one was my favorite. I liked Fahrenheit a lot, or rather Indigo Prophecy, as it's known in America. For some reason, I call it Fahrenheit, even though I live in America. I should call it the American name. Whatever. You get what I'm saying, kids.
What are you saying?
Keep going.
That's the end of the show.
Oh, we made it?
We made it.
We recorded a full episode just talking about how much we love Joe Bob Briggs.
That's good. We can do like a weekly show about how much we love Joe Bob Briggs.
I know, right? We could do all 13 movies in his... No, we shouldn't do that.
I've actually got to meet the guy, which is cool.
I know.
That was awesome.
But, so...
Samurai Cop with him.
142 minutes something is what we recorded. Hour and 42 minutes. Oh, my God. Man, people are going to be there are going to be like 5 people who really love this episode, and everybody else who listens to it is going to be like, fuck that, click.
That's okay.
Sorry,
they can.
It's okay.
At the end of the show, it's now a weekly thing. My dog comes up to visit me.
Interesting.
So, yeah, it's weird.
At
he
Jack
just
and
knocked
Nick
at the door. I don't know if you heard a knock a little bit ago. That was him.
I did hear him walk in. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a knock. He was like that.
So at Jack and Nick Show is where you can find us on Twitter. At New Jersey Nick is where you can find me on Twitter if you want any recommendations for what you should be watching on Shudder.
You can find me at JacobK666. I'm tweeting here and there. I've been staying off the Twitter, and social media.
It's hard to deal. It's hard to deal with other humans right now, isn't it?
It really is. It really.
I have a lot of wrestling to talk about, so I'm on Twitter every day.
I'm on the Facebook Joe Bob page right now, just like here and there, like answering people's questions and stuff. But by the way, I'm gonna end this show and then I'm gonna tell you what I had to tell you, and then Nick's gonna be like, "Dude, you're so fucking cool." All right, I'll tell you people later after it happens.
Okay.
All right.
Cool.
All right. Later, man.
All right. Have fun. Good night, people.
See you, people.
See you around.